joining me today for this beginner's flow. We're going to start today lying on our backs with our knees bent, soles of the feet on the floor. It's a good idea for this flow to have some blocks handy and a strap, because we're going to be doing a little bit of work that, if you need some modifications, they're going to be really helpful. So starting by coming down onto our backs, just try and get yourself a little bit comfortable here. We're going to begin with some breath work, which is known as three-part breath, also known as yogic breathing. This is a really nice exercise to just let ourselves slow down, become present on our mat, and focus our attention for what we're about to do. This is easier to do lying down than it is sat up, but you can do this sat up as well. And it's quite nice to place one hand on your belly and one hand on your ribs. And the idea is that you breathe in from the belly first, then that breath expands up into the chest, and eventually right up into the clavicular area, into the throat. So if we do this together, so breathing in through the nose, you can draw the eyes closed, let the belly rise, 1, 2, ribs, 1, 2, up into the upper chest, 1, 2. The idea is then that as you exhale, you do it in a reverse order. So you breathe from the clavicular area, you breathe out, 1, 2, ribs, 1, 2, belly falls, 1, 2. And it's that circular breathing in that 3 areas, and we're just going to do a few rounds of that. So we'll do them together to begin with again. So belly rises, 1, 2, ribs, 1, 2, throat, 1, 2. Breathe out of the upper chest, 1, 2, ribs fall, 1, 2, belly drops, 1, 2. Now take that in your own time, breathing about 5 rounds or so, belly first, then the chest, and then the upper chest into the throat, and then reversing for the exhale. In your own time. Finishing off that round of breath as the belly falls in the exhale. The breath is a really great way to anchor into your body and into your practice. So if you find your mind wandering while we're progressing through our flows, or you find you're gasping for breath, just slow down and try and bring it back to that deep inhale, deep exhale. So for our first sort of stretch of the flow, we're going to take our belt or strap or dressing gown tie or whatever it is that you're using. And we're going to loop, bring our right leg into our chest and loop the belt just under the heel. So the strap should be just under to a little bit to the front of the heel. Holding the straps in your arms, we're going to take a little bit of a hamstring stretch here. Now this is very early on in this practice, we've not warmed up the body yet. So take it easy, be kind to yourself. And the idea is that we straighten the leg until you feel a stretch down the back. Now, things should not be painful at any point. All of these yoga poses are supposed to be steady and comfortable, which is sometimes a bit hilarious if you're pushing yourself too hard. But you should be able to breathe and be comfortable in any of these poses, so please don't push yourself too far. What you do is that you start to straighten the leg as far as you can, and this may be as far as you can go. In fact, you may have the leg more bent than I do and have it down here. That's completely fine. Wherever you feel you're getting a little bit of a stretch there in the back of the hamstring. So we take the leg wherever feels nice for us. The angle at the hip can be further down. That will make the tension at the back of the leg slightly less. Or you can bring it slightly towards you. Do not go past 90 degrees unless your leg is straight. The arms in this position can either be straight and the weight of them sort of pulling onto that heel, or lengthen your straps and have your elbows on the floor. And then just breathe into this pose. Again, you can drop the eyes closed. Just focus on that stretch. If the knee's got a bend to it, on each exhale, perhaps try and see if you can straighten it just a little bit more, but within your limits as we discussed. So inhale, you relax slightly. Exhale, you stretch. It can be quite powerful sometimes in these static stretches. So imagine you're sending the breath into the area that is under tension. So with each breath, you're bringing in new energy and you're sending it into that area of your body that's being stretched here. I use the term stretch because it's a term most people are familiar with. But sometimes a nicer term to use here is to lengthen, to try and lengthen that muscle. Really focusing on that breath and that sense of lengthening. Try and keep the mind settled. Bend that leg and release the strap. Straighten both legs out in front of you and give them a little shake if that feels nice. Bringing the soles of the feet back to the floor. Bend the left leg this time in towards the chest. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. So looping the belt or the strap around the heel, just in front of the heel, and sending that leg away from the body. You'll probably find that one leg is more flexible than the other. So your position you have on the other side may look slightly different here. And again, the arms can be straight or relax onto the floor. You can have them in between, but we're holding these poses for a little while and they might just start to get a bit tired. So again, only bringing that leg past 90 degrees if the leg is straight. Otherwise, standing it straight forward is perfect. And just breathe here. Again, maybe relaxing a little on the inhale, pushing a little further on the exhale. Focusing in on the breath. Sending that fresh energy into the leg. One more breath here. And bend the leg, release the strap. Pop it off to one side. And again, shake those legs out. Taking a roll onto your side, we're going to come up onto all fours. Stacking the shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. just feel yourself settle in this position. Engage the fingers, feel them pressing equally into the mat. The tops of your feet pushing firmly as well. And try and push the mat away from you so you're getting that lift in your shoulders. We're not sagging down. We're going to take a few rounds of cat-cow. So on the inhale, we take cow. So we drop the belly towards the floor, lift the chin, and pull the chest through the arms. Exhale, we reverse that. So we curl round, looking up at the belly button. And as we inhale, we begin that upward motion again. If this feels too strong on your neck, you can look straight forwards, whatever feels comfortable for you. On your exhales, you round. Take these in your own time and see if you can be continually moving here. So as you inhale, just as you reach the top of your inhale, you reach the top of the movement, and then the exhale naturally begins and you start curving with the movement. You might even like to take these a little bit differently depending on what your body feels like it needs. If you need some side-to-side movement, either with or without that flexion and extension of the spine. Forwards and backwards, that's a nice way to start warming up the wrists. And that works really nicely if you incorporate the lift of the arch of the cow pose and then the round of the cat pose as you lean your weight back. But take whatever variation feels nice for you. Just getting a bit of movement into the spine. Warming up our wrists and shoulders. 2 more rounds, whichever version you've adopted. Just moving with the breath, being conscious of that inhale and that exhale. Finding that rhythm. And then once you've finished that round, coming to settle again in that all fours position. We're going to take a little rest backwards into child's pose, and I'm doing this one at the beginning so you know that this is always an option. If you need to take a break, drop to the knees and take child's pose. So for child's pose, we tuck the toes under just so we can move the knees to the outside of the mat, and then relax the feet onto the floor. Push back and start to move your weight backwards onto your heels. Now you may not be able to get your bottom to your heels, that's fine. What you can do is you can place a cushion underneath the back of the legs if you need a little bit of pressure taken off the knees or off the hips if you're feeling particularly tight today. You can relax and then let the body drift down, and again you may not get down to the mat. We can use our bricks here, so if you're not down to the mat, you can use the brick to rest your head on, and that can be on whichever height feels best for you. And the idea in child's pose is that we really do let go and relax. So this is always an option throughout our practice and throughout any practice that we're going to do together. You can always take this child's pose. If you can, try and rest the forehead onto the floor. It might squash your nose slightly, in which case you can turn to one side. And try and alternate the side you turn to, just so that we balance things out. If you're finding that you can do the full stretch, creep your fingers forward slightly, and then trying to keep your hands still, try and sit back a little further. One nice deep breath here. Excellent. Moving the hands back a little, we're now going to push back into downward dog. So we tuck the back toes, shift the weight backwards again, and try and just hover the knees off the mat. This is quite an intense pose here, but it's a nice warming up transition. And then lift the hips up to the sky, finding our first downward dog of this practice. This is not going to be your stretchiest downward dog. We've done a little hamstring stretch,
but you might find you need to have a bigger bend in the knees than normal if you normally have one. Or maybe it feels good to pedal out through the feet, walk the dog, and get that little release. And then try and settle in to your full pose. Engaging, pushing through the hands into the mat, letting the head relax, and trying to curve the part where your thigh reaches your bottom, trying to curve that up to the ceiling to really engage the back of the legs. Lift the gaze to in between the hands, step or jump to the top of your mat. We're going to inhale here, find halfway, so hands come to the shins or to blocks. Exhale, forward fold. And again, you might have a nice bend in the knees here. Really let the upper body flop over the thighs. Maybe give the head a wiggle from side to side. Some yeses and some nos. And let the belly completely collapse here onto the thighs. I actually really like a deep bend here, because it can release tension in the upper back. Let the head hang heavy. Keeping a slight bend in the knees. Roll up vertebrae by vertebrae until we're coming up to stand. Roll those shoulders back.
And we're ready to start our first flow. We're going to start this with a couple of sun salutations. I say a couple. We're going to do 5, which is not a couple at all. And we're going to use this as our warm-up. So if you're not sure about a sun salutation, also known as Surya Namaskar A, I've done a workshop video breakdown of this on my channel, which you should be able to find. So we're going to go through the first one slowly, and then we'll start speeding things up. So inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips, finding our forward fold. Your hands may come to your shins, to blocks, to your thighs, wherever feels good for you. Inhale, find lift, coming up to a flat back. Exhale, we place the hands on the floor, step or jump back to high plank or drop the knees. Coming into chaturanga, coming forwards over the wrists, lowering down onto the belly and taking cobra. On the exhale, we're going to tuck our toes, push ourselves back into downward dog. Breathe here. Inhale, lift the gaze, step or jump to the top of your mat. Find that halfway point again. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale through heart center. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hinge forward from the middle. Inhale, find length. Exhale, step or jump back. Find your flow, your chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. And breathe. Inhale, gaze lifts, step or jump to the top of your mat and find that flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale, hands through heart center, finding mountain pose. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, find length. Exhale, step or jump back into your chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Breathe here, deep breath. Inhale, gaze lifts, step or jump, and find your flat back at the top of your mat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, through heart center to mountain pose. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step or jump. Take your flow. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Breathe here.
Inhale, gaze lift, step or jump to the top of your mat. Find your flat back. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, down through heart center. One more time, everyone. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step or jump to your chaturanga flow. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Breathe. Inhale, gaze lift, step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, find length. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, through heart center. So that should have warmed the body up a little bit. We're now going to go into our first sequence of the main practice. For our next flow, we're going to do a warrior sequence. It's going to be going through Warrior 1 and Warrior 2, which are very common poses that come up repeatedly in Vinyasa flows. So we're going to start by raising the arms up and exhaling, folding forwards. Now taking a big step back with the left leg, we're going to go into a lunge. You can drop the knee here and untuck the foot. Keeping the left hand on the floor, peel the right one up, coming into a twisted low lunge. If you'd like to, you can tuck the back toes and lift that back leg. If you do that, make sure the leg is really lifted, really engaged. The back heel's reaching towards the wall behind you. Turn your gaze down to look at your front leg and just make sure that your knee is not coming over your ankle. It should be a 90-degree angle. Feel that twist and breathe here. Lower that right hand to the floor. Turn and ground that back heel. So by that I mean twist the foot so that your heel can reach the floor. You may need to shorten your stance here. Now putting the power through the front heel, you're going to use your strength to lift yourself up into a high lunge, which when we bring our arms up and turn that heel so that it's resting on the floor is our Warrior 1 pose. Again here we want to make sure the knee's not coming over the ankle, and try and keep your hips nice and straight. So imagine you've got headlights here and you're shining them straight forward. Engage your abdominal muscles, so pull that belly button in so that you're not arching into your back. The arms reach up strong. The warrior poses are all about being strong and rooted and grounded. Your back heel may need to lift slightly if this is more comfortable for you, and that's completely fine. Hold here. Take some nice deep breaths, feeling that bend in the front leg. Again, really engage the back leg as well. Don't forget you've got a back leg. Keep it nice and straight. And then lift up on that back toe. Twist your heel so that your foot is now parallel with the edges of your mat at 90 degrees. And this brings our hips round to the side and into Warrior 2. Bring your gaze over your front fingers and really try and reach your fingers away from each other so you're really feeling that stretch all the way across the front of the chest there. Now if your balance is struggling a little bit here, you might find it easier to bring your front leg backwards and perhaps your back leg forwards. So you're more on train tracks rather than sort of completely in line with each other. So you find wherever feels good for you. Breathing nice and deeply. Lowering the arms, straighten that front leg and turn your toes inwards so that you're facing the side of your mat.
Now you can walk your toes in a little bit, turn your toes in, heel slightly out, so you're a little bit pigeon-toed. That's going to help protect your knees. And we're going to keep hands on our hips, and we're going to lower down. Now here it's really handy to have your blocks, so that if you can't come all the way down to the floor, you've got an option to raise that up there. So hands on the hips, we're going to inhale, and then with a flat back, belly button again pulled in, we float down, and we're going to stop halfway. Don't lock the knees out, engage your legs, and see if you can hold it here. Feeling that pulling forwards from the crown. Breathe here. Inhale, lift slightly. Exhale, see how far we can go down. Now again, you can bring hands to blocks here, if this feels better, on whichever height you like. Or if you can, bringing the hands down to the floor. You can have a bend in the knees here, if that feels better for you. If you've got the inner leg flexibility, you can wiggle your feet out a little if you want to bring the crown of the head closer towards the floor. Your wide-legged forward fold may not look anything like this. You may be up here with bent legs, and that's completely perfect, as long as you're feeling that lengthening through the back of the legs, and we're doing it safely. We're going to breathe here for a little while. This is a nice calming posture that can really help relax and release. For those of you who've got the flexibility or a little bit more of an advanced practice, you can bring the hands through the legs and try and bring yourself down onto the crown of your head. This is where, if it's already in your practice and you want to take a tripod headstand, feel free. However, this is a beginner flow, so there is absolutely no pressure to do that. And if you're not somebody who is comfortable with headstands, I ask you, please don't try something that you're not comfortable with. I'm going to be staying here with you, feeling the nice calming benefits, feeling that lengthening. Using your hands to push yourself back up to a flat back. Again, engaging your belly button, enabling you to bring the hands back to the hips. And on an exhale, we straighten up. That might make you feel a little bit lightheaded, so try and come up slowly. Take a minute to sort of get your bearings again. Now from here, turn the left foot to face what was the back of your mat, keeping the right foot facing straight forwards. Arms out to the side, we're entering Warrior Two on the other side. Again, reaching through those fingers, engaging your abdominal muscles, feeling the bend in that front thigh. Breathe here, feeling really strong. Picking that heel up, the back heel, we're going to turn our hips so that we're facing forwards. Now again, standing on train tracks so your feet are slightly wider might be much nicer for your balance here. And if you can, we're going to ground that back heel and come into our Warrior One. Warrior One, we have our hips facing straight forwards like those headlights. Again, pulling the belly in, pulling the ribs in so we're not flaring out, but we're nice and contained and strong here. Breathe here. Try and imagine you're pulling your left hip backwards. So if your hips are tending to flare out a little bit, pull this left hip backwards and it will help you keep your hips nice and straight. Bring the arms down to the floor and drop the back knee.
untuck the toes. And this time, keeping the right hand on the floor, peeling the left arm up, we take that twisted low lunge on the other side.
If you did so on the other side, tuck your back toe and lift that back leg. Again, if we're lifting, we're really lifting, engaging that leg, pushing the heel backwards. Reaching those fingertips up to the sky and focusing on the breath. Bringing both hands back to the floor. Going to step to the top of your mat here and let yourself fold forwards, relaxing into that forward fold. Slight bend in the knees, roll up again vertebrae by vertebrae, coming to the top here, rolling the shoulders back on your exhale. And do the same thing again. So arms rising up to the ceiling. Exhale, we fold forwards. This time we're going to start with the right leg shooting backwards into that low lunge. And I invite you here to keep that back leg lifted the whole time if you can, and twist up to that ceiling again. Bring the hand back down to the mat. Turn and ground that back foot so that you've got a wide, sturdy base. And using the strength in your legs, not your hands, putting the weight into your front heel, lift yourself up into Warrior One. Breathing here. I have a tendency to flare my ribs out, so I quite often have to remind myself to pull them in. So I might repeat that a few times. I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to you. Lift that back heel, turn it to 90 degrees, bringing the arms down into your Warrior Two. Feel the strength of this posture. Try not to lean forwards or backwards with your arms. Keep the trunk upright. Gaze over the front fingers. Your thighs should be feeling pretty warm right about now. Try and stay with it, keep that breath steady. Push forward and straighten that front leg and turn your feet once more to face the side of your mat. Hands to your hips. We're going to go into another one of those forward folds. So inhale, we lengthen, and imagine that you've got a string here pulling at the top of your head, and as you lengthen, that's being pulled forwards rather than down. Stopping halfway. Another inhale here. And exhale, float your way down. Again, hands can rest on the floor, on blocks, on shins, whatever is comfortable for you. This time we're going to take our right hand to our left ankle or shin, whatever it is that you can reach. Just let this be a gentle little twist here for you. You can pull through on that right arm. Really feel the twist. And release. Walking the left hand into the right ankle. And again, feeling a little twist here. And relax. Hands onto the hips. On an inhale, then a slight bend in the knees and bring yourself back up to standing. Again, taking it nice and slow so you don't get too woozy. Turn your right foot towards the front of your mat and lower back down into your Warrior Two lunge on this side. Feeling that deep bend in the front leg. Turn the back foot so that you're now facing the front of your mat again. You might need to readjust your legs, widen them a little bit for balance, whatever you need to do. And try and drop that back heel, bringing the arms up for our last warrior one. Make sure the torso is nice and strong. 90-degree angle in that front leg if you can. If the leg's a bit straighter, that's absolutely fine, as long as you're not rolling over your ankle. Here we're going to place the hands on the floor. Again, trying to keep that back leg lifted this time. Peel the right arm up towards the sky. Bring the right hand down. And so we're going to step back into high plank or all fours. And hold here. Bringing the right leg towards your hands. I'm going to try and place it so that your right foot is just behind your left hand and your right knee is coming to the back of your right hand. And then we scooch the back leg backwards here for a nice stretch. So this is pigeon pose. Now this can be quite uncomfortable on the right knee if you're someone who's got a bit of a jiffy knee. If that happens, in which case I recommend bringing your foot closer in towards your body. So you've got much more of an acute angle here in the leg rather than a more open one. That puts more strain on your knee. So you choose whichever one you need. You may also find that you're much more up here and this right bottom is completely off the mat. You can take a block here and place it, or a bolster or a big cushion, anything you've got, and place it underneath your right hip. That enables you to still feel that stretch here, that lengthening in your hip flexors here, rather than feeling all of the weight and tension going through that right side. So here we can stay upright if this feels really nice. We can then also come forwards into a reclined pigeon, and that can be on your elbows, that can be down, that can be anywhere in between, wherever you feel like you can relax into that stretch. This may be a bit too much torsion on that front knee. If it is, just bring yourself back up. You can also use this stretch as a bit of a back extension. Bring your hands behind you and lift the chest up. So I invite you to take whichever one of those versions feels better for you. As always, child's pose, balasana, is always an option, the one we did at the beginning. So if this is too much on your knees or your hips, feel free to come out and take a child's pose. A couple of more breaths here. Bringing your hands and your weight back in front of you or coming up off your arms or your belly if you were lying down. Tuck that back toe. And you're just going to lift up enough that enables you to go back into plank and switch sides, bringing the other leg in front of you. And again here, really try and wiggle that back leg behind you to get the long stretch in that leg. If you took a block on the other side, you're likely to need a block or a bolster or a cushion underneath this side as well. You may find one side feels much nicer than the other, and that's completely normal as well. Again, if there's too much tension on this knee, adjust the angle of this front leg, bringing your foot closer in towards the body. If you need to release some of that tension for a deeper stretch, we move it away from the body. Breathe here. And whichever variation you took on the other side, I invite you to take that now on this side. So whether that's coming down onto the elbows, relaxing down completely onto the floor, or coming into more of a back extension with the arms behind. you're in the back extension, try and keep that belly button drawn in so you're not compressing into your lower spine. You're lifting up and back. This time bringing the weight onto the left side of your hip. Bring your legs round here. Sit in front of you. I'm going to turn to face you. Now we're now going to do what we did lying down at the beginning, but sat up. So you're going to need your strap here if you used one before. And we're going to sit, first of all, just with your legs out, feet flexed. Imagine again you've got that string drawing your crown up to the ceiling. And the idea here, when we're going to be going forwards, is not to completely fold forwards and collapse and try and get as low as you can. The idea is that we're reaching up and over, so you're trying to get your nose over your toes rather than to your shin. So we'll start with the right leg, so bring the left leg in and then rest it against your inner thigh. Your knee may be up. Again, you can bring a block underneath that knee for some support if that feels nicer for you. If you're struggling here and your lower back feels a bit grumpy, another thing you can do is place a cushion or a bolster or another block underneath your bottom so your hips are slightly higher than your feet. That can also help to make this pose a bit more comfortable. So we're going to take that strap, like we did before, and loop it around the foot. Again, we're going to place it just in front of the heel bone there. The idea here is taking the straps over to the outside of your right leg, turning your hips towards the front, and the way that you can sometimes achieve that is to imagine you're drawing your right hip backwards. That will straighten your hips up, and that's going to be really helpful when we then start doing this in later flows standing up. You'll find your hips are a lot more even. So we're going to breathe in, inhale, lengthen, and as we exhale we reach our nose forwards towards our foot, not down towards our shin. So keeping the flat back, we start making our way towards our foot. Inhale, lift slightly, and with your exhale, bring yourself down a little bit closer. And we're going to keep doing that with your own breath. Inhale, exhale down. And you may find that this starting position is enough for you, and that's fine. You may be able to come a little bit or a lot, so wherever it feels best for you here. And again, breathe into that stretch. If you can get down towards the shin, you don't necessarily need the belt, as long as you keep that back nice and flat. Or if you're going for the foot, again, keep pulling yourself forwards, not flopping down onto the leg. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, we fold. Each inhale, a little release. Each exhale, try and get a little deeper. Keep drawing that right hip backwards, keeping those hips nice and straight. And on your next breath, make your way slowly back up. Straighten that left leg, and just for a second here, close your eyes and feel what's left behind from that stretch. How does the right leg feel compared to the left leg? It's all just being aware of your body and aware of your body in space and the sensations of your body. That's what I find really helpful with yoga, is that grounding practice, bringing yourself into the present moment. So just feel what's left behind in the back of that right leg. And we're going to switch sides. So bend your right leg, bringing your sole of your foot to the inside of your left thigh. You may find this side easier with regards to your knee being down, or you may find it harder than the last side. And if you used a block on the last side, pop it under on this side as well if you need it. Taking the strap once more around your heel. You may need to bend your leg to get your strap around your heel, and that's great, that's fine. And then we're going to take the strap to the outside of the left leg again. Inhale, we grow tall. Pull that left hip backwards to straighten your hips. And exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, we breathe, and we come up slightly. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. And again, trying to get the nose forwards rather than down. Just like when we were lying down, you'll probably find one side is more flexible than the other. For me, my left leg is not as flexible as my right. And if you're down onto the shin or to the foot, you can put the strap to one side, just keeping that back nice and straight. Breathe here. Inhale, make your way back up to seated. Remove any props that you were using. Straighten both legs. And again, just close your eyes. Come into stillness and feel now the sensations that are left behind in both of the legs. Give them both a little shake. And then we're going to come down to lie on our backs once more like we did at the beginning of our practice as we're cooling down, slowing down. So try and gradually and slowly in control lower yourself down to the mat. And we're going to take a few twists here. Now I'm right next to a wall, so I'm going to do my twists with my arms bent in a cactus. You can take them out in a T if that feels nicer for you. So what we're going to do here is keep the soles of our feet on the floor. And just let the knees fall towards the right. And let this be a little gentle spinal twist. You can turn the head in the opposite direction so the head falls to the left. And feel that twist through the spine. Most important thing here is that this right shoulder is on the floor. So if you find as you come over, your shoulders lift, then you need to bring the knees up a little bit more if that's too far for you. Again, you can place a block or a cushion underneath the knees. Making sure that both shoulders are on the floor. Like I said, the right shoulder on the floor. We need to make sure the left is as well. Inhale, bring the knees back up to center. Scoot your hips slightly to the other side and let the legs fall over to the left. Head turns to the right, dropping the eyes closed and feeling that stretch. Inhale, working your way back up to center. Whatever you need to make yourself comfortable as we come into our final pose, please feel free to get up and grab it. So whether you need a blanket or a jumper or a pair of socks, anything to enable you to be comfortable and completely relaxed. So Shavasana is known as corpse pose, and the idea is that you literally do absolutely nothing. And you just take this opportunity to really feel the practice you've just done. enable the mind to settle even further. We're going to stay here for a little while and just have some quiet silence to enjoy what we've done. And now taking a slightly deeper breath, bringing some movement into your fingers and your toes, maybe doing some circles with the wrists and the ankles. Reaching the arms right overhead so you do a huge stretch like you would first thing in the morning. And take a gentle roll onto your side, keeping the eyes closed. And when you're ready, only when you're ready, bring yourself back up to a comfortable seat. Again, trying to keep the eyes closed if you can, staying with the gaze turned inward. Bringing your hands to heart center. The light in me sees the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today at the Mindful Yoga Medic. I hope you enjoyed our practice and that I will see you back on the mat very soon. Stay healthy everyone, stay safe and stand together. Bye.